Hi, Mira. My name is Alka, and I am the founder of Global Women Power. And this is one program which we run for our esteemed guest. It's called Meet Our Sheroes.
Oh, great.
And I believe, and number of interviews made my belief stronger that, the kind of capacity a woman has shown and risen to the heights, they're quite unbelievable. So you are our esteemed guest today, and we would like to hear from you your story as of today. What are you doing today? From where you started and where you're heading. So
Oh,
this is how we just cover your journey with us.
okay, good.
Okay.
Well, nice to meet you, and thank you for the lovely opportunity. I truly, from all heartedly thank you for interviewing me and exposing me to the Global Power Women Network. Um, so I was a professor. I was recruited after I obtained my doctoral degree from the University of Cincinnati. I was recruited here at Stanislaus in California, and I was a professor there for 22 years. And simultaneously, I also taught at Delta College. I just because I live in Stockton, so I've done both. The While I was a professor at CSU Stanislaus, I basically ran a program. I was the coordinator of the program. It was masters only. So the program had two tiers. One of it is counseling for school counselors to be placed in the community, to be a school counselor. And the second tier was actually providing therapy after they obtained the license from the BBC, from the Board of Behavioral Science. Um, and they can put out their shingles. So the program had two tiers. And by the way, I was the one responsible bringing the license to California State University to the counseling program. So I'm very proud of that. That's a very strong milestone because before me, they did not have, a licensure program for at the counseling department. They only had the certificate for counseling and school systems. So I'm very, very proud of that. During COVID, I retired because I did not want to teach online. I didn't think that that you can teach psychological skills, online because it's on one-on-one interaction. And I thought the whole scenario was absurd. I understand that they didn't have an option, but luckily I did have an option, so I bailed out. And after retirement, what I did is, since I have for years actually taught and educated students to provide therapy to others, I said to myself, well, why don't I provide therapy for myself to others? Because I'm very well versed in it. I have the necessary education, the skills, the licenses, the whole 9 yards. Why not do it? And so I did, and I put out my shingle, and it's going. That's my story in a nutshell.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And counseling, when you talk about counseling, it is mostly for students or teachers.
No, the counseling that I'm currently providing is for anybody. I am actually listed under Psychology Today, that network,
Right.
Psychology Today, and it's an Encino, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter. People find me, and I provide therapy. I provide the gamut: couples therapy, individual therapy, children's therapy, any sort of therapy that an individual needs. I provide.
Hmm. And when you introduced that program in the school system, who
Mhm.
was it for at that time?
At that time, it's primarily for students, only students. The students, I basically prepared students to be counselors, either counseling psychologists, either in school system or community. They chose the track because it's two different tracks. One is a little bit shorter. The school counseling was shorter. The community counseling psychology was a little bit longer because it needed a license and the 3,000 hours to clock in. You know how it goes,
Right.
so on and so forth. So it was a little bit longer. But the bottom line is they all graduated with a master's degree. And then they chose to be, whatever they wanted, the path that they wanted. a little bit more preparation for the community, a little bit less for the school.
So what you told me about your 22 years of experience, that you dealt with people with flesh and bones, not robots.
Right.
And I wanted to have a feel from you. What were the challenges which the growing up generation faced? And was there any gender inequality? You know,
You're talking about the university system, because I'm also doing now the private practice, which I have
no,
like
earlier, your journey as a 22 years, give us a feel of that.
so when I was actually a professor at the university, when I started, the students were unbelievably respectful towards a professor. When a professor walked into the room, a hush fell and everything. It was like you were standing on a podium, and they were listening, and they thought every word that comes out of my mouth is godly. you know, but over the years, more less and less respect was given towards professors. I was challenged in class. Actually, how come I got a B rather than an A, for instance? I'm like, this is what you deserve. Oh, well, I'm paying your salary. I mean, outright boldness and rudeness and horrible, horrible stuff. So through the years, I've seen a decline. You know, CSU Stanislaus tried very hard to be integrative in their recruitment of students and in the recruitment of professors. The I don't know how successful they were. The majority of the students that were coming to CSU Stanislaus were Hispanic. They did not reach out to other populations, much to my dismay. Much to my dismay, because in the Central Valley, you have a large population of Sikhs, of Indians, for instance, who are incredibly bright. From the interaction that I had with these students, they were unbelievably bright, and rightfully so. And so they started recruiting students with less GPA, just to bring them in to fill the quota. They were not the best students. They had, like I said, they were not very respectful, and they did not reach out to other nationalities. Primarily, like I said, not enough, but Black people were lacking in this university. They still are, which is very unfortunate. Throughout the years that I've been there, I can count on one hand the graduate students that I graduated with a master's degree who are Black, as were, I can count on one hand the Indian students, or other ethnicities. And it's sad. It is really, really sad. And as far as recruiting a faculty, I don't know if you're aware of it, if anybody told you. I know that I told you that I was born in the Ukraine slash Russia, but I was a year old and my family moved to Israel. So my upbringing was in Israel, which makes me an Israeli and Jewish. And I was the only Israeli and the only Jewish faculty, at CSU Stanislaus. I don't know if it changed now. I honestly don't know. I hope so, but it was lacking. It was lacking in recruiting diversity, and it's sad.
So,
And in my private practice, I'm sorry, and in my private practice on the bio on Psychology Today, I don't know if you've seen it or not. On the bio in the bottom, I actually put that I speak several languages, and I put also in Hebrew for the Israeli community, the religious community. The therapy can be provided in Hebrew, and since it's an Encino, lots of Israelis started calling. Lots of it. I have a lot of Israelis as and Jewish people as clients, which is great, which is great. But it's not just primarily for Israelis or Jewish people. I have people who are not affiliated to any ethnicity. Your true blue Americans. I don't know where they came from. They don't share this with me, but they're here too.
so what could be the change of what could be the reason of this changing behavior of the students over the years, according to you?
Well, I think there are a lot of contributing factors. The main one is there's a change in society at large, and education is a microcosm of what's happening in society. And because society is changing, a lot of the students are changing. You see a lot of the information in news whereby you see politicians and stuff boldly lying to your face, and people buy that kind of lie. So students say, well, if they can do it, I can do it. There, in my estimation, we're lacking a lot of wonderful role models as we used to have in the past. And there is also um, a secondary thing is there's a huge sense of entitlement in this generation. I deserve it, I'm entitled to it. Nobody's working hard anymore for anything because everything has been handed on a silver platter. Your GPA is 2.5. That's okay. Come in and be a graduate student. No, it's not okay. You should earn a degree with on the merits of your scholarly achievements. So there is a failure in institutions, and there is a failure in society at large.
So, according to you, we are just brainstorming on a topic, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to pick your brain on it. What
Okay.
could be the role of women in, improving a little bit conditions of society, which is going downhill?
Hmm. I
Being you and then your mother and grandmother as women, what did we contribute in the past and which we are not doing right now?
Yeah. Well, I think women need to start taking a stance and speak up, because we still, unfortunately, in 2024, we still are being stifled. We're still not allowed to express exactly what we feel, because we're being kind of, oh, you're just a woman. What do you know? And I've seen it first in academia too, because there's still a discrepancy in wages. We're all running around with PhD there. You cannot teach in a university without a PhD. But the salary discrepancy between a male and a female were unbelievably, it was astounding. What a male made and what a female made, there's no comparison. And we're the same education, the same experience, but not the same salary. And that happens across the board, not just in academia, everywhere. And it's astounding. It's in this day and age, for a woman to still make 70 cents to a man's dollar is alarming, because there are plenty. The rationale behind it way back when was that a man was the head of the family, where 50% or more are women who are heads of family, and they're supporting children, and they're falling below the poverty line, which is incredibly sad. So I think that's one thing. They need to stand up and express what they believe and actually fight for their belief. They need to go and obtain education at all costs. And education, contrary to popular belief, does open an enormous amount of doors for you. An enormous. When I started my avenue of education, I had two little babies, but it didn't stop me. I went full speed and I tried to get, and I started bachelor's degree, which I got at the University of Arizona, master's degree, Miami University, and doctoral degree, University of Cincinnati. I did not stop until I achieved my goal, which is really the crown I'm wearing around my head. I am very proud of my educational achievements, and I wish every single woman would. It does not matter how old you are, and would stop giving excuses. I don't have the money. My husband wouldn't let me. I'm not smart enough. I don't think I can commit for 4 years. Do it. Just like Nike. Just do it. Get an education and make something out of yourself.
I really liked it. This
Thank
is
you.
how it should get across.
Thank you.
Another
Thank you.
question is, you do couple therapy and marriage counseling. So
Yes.
I do think that the marriage is a fabric of the society because it keeps the houses together, it keeps people together. That is what makes a family. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you see in today's therapy sessions? Where is the problem?
Well, again, it's a reflection of society. When I started doing the therapy, I saw traditional, marital problems. We're not getting along. That sort of a thing. I want a divorce. I'm not happy. We're incompatible. That sort of a thing. But even marriages themselves nowadays are not what they used to be. I see in therapy polyamorous couples, open marriage, open marriages. I see all kind of situations that I can, during therapy, you have to obviously maintain a face that doesn't give away any emotion. But I'm sometimes floored from what I hear, you know, and I cannot show any bias clearly, and I cannot show any preference. But even marriages themselves, are changing because of the acceptance of society. It's all okay. It's okay to do drugs in a marriage. It's okay to choose partners in a marriage. It's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. This is what I see when they come to me. For me, I have a different value system, but I have to accept what is. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit alarming that marriage is changing as well. And what I do see is that in my particular practice, most of the people who want to divorce are the women. They are the ones who are pushing for the divorce. They are the ones who are unhappy. They are the ones who emotionally divorced their spouses years ago, but they stayed in the marriage for whatever reason, financial, children, security, and so on and so forth. But they have emotionally left that marriage a long time ago. So they're basically living as roommates, not as husband and wife. But 70%, if not more, are the divorces that are initiated by women. And yeah.
So
So
that
yeah.
leads to another question of mine, is that after divorce, what? What do you think? What do they do after divorce if they are in bad marriage, bad relationship? And are they happier or progressing? Are they becoming better? After divorce, what?
Well, see, the people that come to me, basically, we start at the beginning. We go all the way to childhood, and we explore the issues of unhappiness and what happened to you in childhood that made you who you are. And that gives them a venue. It gives them an understanding. It gives them skills. I have a lot of skills, and I have a big tool bag of all kind of therapies and all kind of research methods that I pull out from my tool bag, and I give to the individual that needs this particular therapy, depending on their issue or their difficulty or their challenge. Some people after divorce, find out that it was a mistake. I've heard this several times already, particularly when children are involved, because everybody thinks that the grass is greener on the other side.
Mhm.
Oh, my marriage sucks. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Then they go out to the real world and they see what's out there, and what's out there is not so pleasant. By the way, there are people who have been divorced 2, 3, 4 times, and they're still out there. And so they're very remorseful. In the meantime, the spouse already had found another wife, because, as you well know, men usually need the support system, and they latch on to either a female right away, or whatever, if it's a gay couple, another partner right away for the support system and for the help that they need. They don't stay single a long time on the market. The people, and I'm not necessarily saying right away marriage, I'm saying even dating or living situation with a partner or what have you. So what's left is not very not very appealing out there. And so a lot of women are remorseful, at least the women that come to me. I cannot generalize and speak about the entire society, at least the women that come to me. But we're working on advancing them, and actually making them grow from this experience, and not dwell on misery and what happened in the past, but actually take this experience and grow from it, and learn what is a good partner and what is not a good partner. But the bottom line is that you cannot hang your happiness on another individual. Another individual is never ever going to make you happy if you're not happy within yourself. If you cannot generate the happiness from within, no one in the world is going to make you happy. And that's why when we delve into childhood issues, and what happened, and throughout your life, to get you to this particular point. Yeah.
Very profound. Nancy, you
Thank
have
you.
any question?
I'm sorry.
I'm asking Nancy if she has a question.
Well, I know a lot of people marry now for tax benefits.
For tax benefits, well, a lot of people, marry for security reason, not just tax benefits. It used to be, it's been done ages and ages and ages ago that women married a man whether they liked them or not for financial reasons, because they were not educated, because they could not support themselves. So yeah.
Or they married for religious purposes so that nobody will gossip against them. I don't know. Why marry now with all these divorces?
There are a lot of reasons
Right.
for marriage. um I would love to think that a lot of people marry for love, but I think love fell to the bottom of the list rather than a lot of people are looking, women come to a marriage situation with a list. Is he financially secure? Is he going to provide me with emotional stability? Is he going to be a good father? Is he humorous? Is he educated? They have a huge list, and when you look at them, they have very little to offer back. And it's incredible that the list gets longer every year when the female has very little to offer back. She has her beauty, yes, she has definitely, she has her body, she has her beauty, she has a sex appeal, but those things fade with age. That's why I'm pushing for education. That's why you need to stand on your own feet. Husbands come and go. The piece of paper, master's, PhD, bachelor, stays forever, ever. Then I'm pushing for it. I think it's important.
Very, very important. That is the whole idea of global women power. I just say educate, empower, enhance.
Yes,
No.
good,
So these
good.
are, yeah, because, when I started this organization, I met a woman who was just crying over her marriage disputes and this and that. So I thought, these stories are never ending. I asked her to change her focus and learn something new or find out ways to expand your horizon, area of influence. Because once you're busy and you're making more than what you could, you're happier. And then you don't fight with the guy whom you married. Otherwise, your own inadequacy and being insufficient, that only just makes you who you become, quarrelsome, upset, neurotic, psychotic person.
Yes, absolutely.
So another message, I want from you for our audience is that, I generally say that therapy is must for everybody, whether they are in a problem or they're not in a problem. What do you say?
I think it's essential. And in this day and age, in our society, in this day and age, everybody needs a psychologist attached to them, walking alongside with them. Because after COVID, and particularly when you saw a major shift in society, so much depression and anxiety is coming forth. I see this so much. People are so anxious. They have actually full blown panic attacks that takes them in an ambulance to a hospital thinking that they are having a heart attack, which they are not. It's just a panic attack. So anxiety is on the rise. Like I said, depression is on the rise. Divorce is on the rise. Alcoholism is on the rise. Everything, that we managed to sort of um, kind of like stabilize prior to COVID came out full force. And I believe that everybody needs to get some therapy. I think that a lot of people are still holding on to the myth that only people with psychotics or neurotics or with very challenging mental health problems need psychological help, and it is not so. People come in to vent. People come in to get advice. People come in to get tools. People come in to get skills with difficulties and challenges that they're having. People have difficulty with relationships, and not just husband and wife. I see a lot in my practice mother-daughter relationship issues because there is a lack of communication. Students who cannot fit into the school system and are being bullied. So all of these issues, and really, absolutely everyone needs it. To me, though, I must tell you something very important, which is a point of contention for me. because I go in psychology today and I see people and they call themselves coaches and they call themselves healers and they call themselves God knows what. They don't have an ounce of education. And you have to be very, very careful when you choose a therapist or a psychologist or anyone to check out their qualifications, to make sure they actually went to legitimate universities, not some online 10-month kind of a program and you got a certificate and you put out a shingle. That's not good because you cause more harm than good. And so the people out there really need to be wary about people who will take advantage, because you do know that outside, again, as a result of the COVID, lots of scammers are coming in and everybody all of a sudden is a healer or a fortune teller or God only knows what they call themselves. And you have to be very, very careful who you put your trust in and who can actually help you, who has the educations and the skills to do so. The other alarming thing that I see, which is this is the part that is just destroying me. I cannot stand it. I see people on psychology today who would charge anywhere from $400 to $800 a session, which is unheard of. It's unheard of. This is not helping people. This is pocketing your own money. You know, I provide therapy for like $150. And I raised it now to 200 and some. But if they cannot afford the 200, there is a scale, and it should be an all therapy, because the aim is to provide help to people, not to make yourself rich. So that's my take on it. I had to mention these 2 points because they are annoying.
Sure, sure.
I absolutely agree with you, because when you give a compatible fee and work with people, they're the ones that are going to tell others to come to you.
Yeah, it is. It's word of mouth. There's no question about it. That's how I get most of my clients.
Do you do group sessions?
I want to, but the people that I currently have, I asked because one woman actually expressed a desire to do group, and they don't. They like the individual one-on-one, and because most of, not most, all, well, with the exception of a couple, most of my sessions are done online, face to face, like we're doing now, either via FaceTime or WhatsApp, and clearly now Zoom. Then they like the one-on-one attention, or the two, the couple, the husband and wife, or two gay people, two gay guys, or two gay women, whatever, and mother-daughter kind of situation. They like the attention that's given primarily to their issue, to their problem. So they don't want the therapy. I would love to do group therapy. Would love to. Yeah.
And
I was.
anything you do on the corporate side?
I'm sorry.
Corporate.
No, I have not plugged in into the corporate side yet because, I don't have any desire to travel. If I travel, I want to travel abroad. I don't want to sit in a car on the highways for hours on end to get to where I'm going. I'd much rather go to the airport, go in a plane, and visit the world. That's which I do quite a bit, by the way. In between sessions, I break away and travel and visit countries.
Can you mention names of some of the books which our audience can refer to?
Well, I always mention this, which is No Mud, No Lotus, which is this particular book. I can show it, and it's wonderful. This is great for anxiety because it has a variety of breathing techniques. And a lot of people are poo-pooing and say, oh, breathing techniques do not help. And yes, they do. If you read this book and you learn some of
Can
the
you give the
techniques,
name again? What is the name?
it's called, can you see it now?
Yeah,
no
no.
no mud, no lotus. And he actually writes quite a bit. He's very prolific. And I recommend this book a lot. It's actually on my this is where I provide, this room is where I actually provide therapy, and it's right here, because when before the end of the session I always say, by the way, you might want to purchase this tiny little book. It's not expensive. It's, Amazon has it. It's cheap. It's within an hour you are done reading it. And it will serve you for life. It really is. It really would. So I do recommend this highly. The other books I'm a little bit leery of recommending because a lot of them are pop psychology. That's stuff they hear on TikTok or whatever. But there are some good books out there, and yeah, during the session, I can definitely recommend something that's befitting the individual that needs it. The breathing techniques, I think everybody can benefit from, even if you don't have anxiety. When you're depressed, when you are low, that's it's good to do.
And what do you recommend, a conventional medicine system or alternative for, this anxiety and other things?
I am I am not I am very anti-medication. So I don't know if that's a good thing. I do believe for very hardcore mental illness like schizophrenia, for instance, or other psychotic, bipolar or other psychotic mental health issues, you do need to the research has already proven it, that you do need to combine medication with therapy. One without the other is not going to help. But the run of the mill, kind of like everyday issues or sadness or helplessness or I can't get off the couch, motivational things or whatever. I don't like to shove, antidepressants. I think just about everybody is on antidepressants nowadays. Again, I don't want to make generalizations, but you don't know who's authentic and who isn't. You don't know what's what. And a pill, in all honesty, doesn't solve your problems. Maybe it will put on a band-aid, like a band-aid on a cancer, but it will erupt again at one point. It will help short term, but it does not do anything for you long term at all. At all. So for hardcore mental health issues, yes, a combination of medication and therapy is very, very necessary. But for the run-of-the-mill problems, facing divorce or after divorce issues, or like I said, motivational problems or anxiety, um, you know, mild depression, not clinical depression, then it's best to get therapy. It really is. It helps. It really does.
So did you write any book, or are you planning to write?
I wrote when I had to, while I was a professor, I had to write quite a bit. you know, I had to actually write a thesis for my master's, and I had to write a dissertation for my doctorate, which actually turned into a book. And it was all about divorce. That's why a lot of people come to me, because I'm somewhat of an expert about divorce and divorce issues in custody. I do have some people that are, mothers who lost custody of their children, which is heart wrenching for them, and how to overcome that, and how to navigate the court system and lawyers and that sort of a thing. But throughout my career, I had to publish quite a few papers. I don't know if they're still online. They used to be online, posted online, like grandparents raising their own children due to the fact that society is changing and the parents are either incarcerated or they're drug addicts and they're not able to care for their children. So the grandparents are actually raising the second generation. They finished the job once and now they're doing it again. I have I had published papers also on Alzheimer's, because my mom, everything that's near and dear to my heart, because I went through a divorce, so I became all of a sudden, a semi-expert on divorce, because I started investigating it and learning quite a bit about it. My mom had Alzheimer's, so I was adamant about finding out the cause, which of course it's very difficult to do. But I at one point I was convinced that traumatic situations cause Alzheimer's, because she was a concentration camp survivor. She experienced a lot of traumatic stuff, and I tried to make the hypothesis. I tried to make that connection, but it wasn't so, because Reagan had Alzheimer's and he had a very good life. So he didn't have a traumatic life according to accounts, So that hypothesis was not proven, but nevertheless, I did publish some papers out of it, and other papers, quite a few papers out there, because in order to get tenure as a professor, there are stages. In order to get tenure from an assistant to an associate, you have to publish a great deal, because in academia, it's publish or perish. You won't get tenure. And then from an associate to full professor, again, we had to publish and go to conferences and stuff like this. And that's where the love of traveling came in, because a lot of these conferences and papers that I wrote and the books that were all abroad. I made it so. I chose it to be abroad. I didn't want to go to Iowa. I wanted to go to Turkey. or I wanted to go to Spain, and the university paid for me to go and publish and present my paper, because the university got a lot of prestige from it. And after that, after I, so I used to travel quite a bit on university dime, and then after the university, I continued to do it on my own dime. So
Can I ask you a question?
yes.
How do you unwind from codependent experiences? Like you have clients and it's trauma and stress. Usually the therapist, it comes on the therapist and you have to shake it off. What is your method for yourself?
So that's a very, very good question. First of all, I try not to have more than 3 clients a day, because otherwise it stresses me out. I don't feel that it's good for the client. I don't want it to be, an assembly line psychotherapy. I just don't. I don't want to do like from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. Therapy. It's not good for the soul, my soul, and it's not good for the person that I am trying to provide therapy. So that's one thing I've established right off the bat, that I won't take more than a certain amount of people a day. I don't care how much money they offer. I'm not going to take them. Okay. The second thing is that I go to a gym. I belong to a gym, so I distress a lot by going. I do water aerobics almost every day. I'm in the pool every day. With a bunch of lovely women jumping and doing water aerobics. I do Zumba, believe it or not. All of these things are distressing. I have a treadmill. I think you saw I have a gym in my house, so I exercise quite a bit in my house as well, and that helps me. And the biggest distressor for me, well, two actually. One of them is traveling. So I don't know if you know, I've been to over 70 countries already in my lifetime, and I continue to do so. I just came back from Croatia, and in September, I'm going to Italy for the second time. So that's lovely for me to do. Because you know that Mark Twain said that you cannot be any kind of ism, an anti-Semite, or any kind of anti-Semitism, racism, any kind of ism, if you travel, because you're exposed to the world, you're exposed to different culture, you're exposed to different food, music, whatever. There's no possibility for you a racist if you travel. There's just no possibility, because you see other cultures. So that's one thing. And the other thing, that is a strong distressor for me, is that I belong to a religious organization which I value greatly, and we are like a little family, and I see them every Saturday. Yes, I do pray. I am not one of these extremist fanatics that I shove religion down everybody's throat. That's not me. It works for me. It doesn't always work for other people, but spirituality and religion in my life is a very important factor, and it is a distressor for me. So those are the things.
Can you see yourself having this therapy business where you have very close affiliates, that it's like a network where it's not, I guess you have like a clinic where doctors are under you. You could have an online clinic or something with, for example, people like Dr. Alka here, or even Exchange or something, so that it's not a one-man performance. You could have people performing under you where you're not available, or if you have too big of a load, you're
It's
still
a
bringing
very,
in
very
money and
good.
helping people.
It's a very good point. At this particular point, hopefully, with your exposure, I will get more clients, and maybe I can open up a facility as such that I can be the head, and underneath me, other therapists are working, and I can advise and supervise and tell them what to do. At this point, it's not financially, it's not conducive to me at this particular point. So I'm not even entertaining it. But if my practice will grow to the point that I need to do something like this, I'm not I'm not poo-pooing it or throwing it under the carpet by any stretch of the imagination. I would definitely welcome it, but I'm not at that particular point yet.
Very nice.
Dr. Elka had a question.
So of course, because as you say, you can handle only 3 people, or you try to handle up to 3 people. And seeing the magnitude of the problem around you, you have to do something because of your wealth of knowledge and experience. Traveling is one big bonanza which brings so much of experience. That itself, meeting you is a treasure. You understand and feel and
Thank you.
whatever
Thank-
you've done. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you saying it.
Yes. And it will be a good idea what Nancy has brought up. And then I just envisioned it. I said, okay, maybe it is possible for you.
If I get to that point, I'm definitely going to progress. I have a tendency to always progress. Obviously, I'm not standing on one place. I retired from the university after teaching so many years and did something else. And I'm always going to reinvent myself, always, until the day I die, because otherwise, what is there? I don't want to sit here and just wait, until God takes my soul. That's just not me. I have to be active, and I like to be active, and I like to simultaneously to contribute to society. I hope that I'm helping people, and I believe that I do, because when people say, you've given me enough tools, you've given me enough skills, I can handle it, and they go, and maybe, once or twice or whatever, they come back to a little bit for tuning. That's a great success story. I know I've done good. I know I did my job correctly,
Right.
because I'm sending them off on the way. I don't like, again, some of these therapists who create a dependency that the client can't possibly function without them. Remember that movie, What About Bob? Right? That the client went to vacation with him, the client was always there. And that's not okay, because they create a codependency, and that's not the aim of therapy. The aim of
Exactly.
therapy is to help the individual to stand on their own feet and be able to face the challenges as they come on their own. So
Do you also accept insurance?
no, that's the problem, that I don't. That's why my fee, because it's really unheard of. I always ask them, when they hear like $200 a session, they say, "Oh, I cannot." I said, "Well, what can you afford?" And they say, "I don't know, something ridiculous like $50." And I said, "No, my lowest price is 150. Can you do 150?" And they say yes. And I'm like, "Okay, 150, I think, is very reasonable, because today 100 is nothing. You cannot even fill a tank of gas with 100.
What
You
about
just,
10 sessions at a discount?
I'm sorry.
10 sessions with some kind of discount.
Yeah, well, see, I don't usually do it on this level, on the, like 10 sessions or whatever. I do it as an on needed basis, and so that's what's happening. Like sometimes in a week I would have a full week. Sometimes the next week I will have only 2 people. You know what I'm saying? Or the following week I will have more than 7 that they want to come in, and I'm like, no, I cannot. You see what I'm saying? It depends. It depends. I don't take it as a block or a chunk. I'll give you 10 sessions and you'll be okay. That's what insurance companies do. I don't do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do is what you need and how much you need. Sometimes you will need like 3 sessions, sometimes you will need 5, sometimes you will need more than that, but it depends on your
Right.
on your capabilities of handling situations on
That was
your own.
only an example. That was only an example.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yes.
if they need in the future, they have that package deal.
Yes.
That's all.
Okay.
Understood.
Mhm.
So I don't think that we can get everything out of you in such a short duration. We just,
Thank you.
yeah. And so what I will propose that, we have a website and we have a good Facebook page, and also Meet Our Sheroes are also being promoted. So if you permit, I will put you as, face for counseling
Absolutely. I would love that.
with your bio and all. And then if people want to reach out to you, they're more than welcome.
I would love that. Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate it greatly.
I will do that.
Thank you.
So thank you
You
once
have a
again.
new sister.
Thank you for the opportunity to get this exposure. I really, really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure knowing you and listening to you.
Same. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ladies. Take
Yeah.
good care.
You too.